music, yes. Welcome back to part the second. I've got all historical now, you noticed. Henry III, part sixth, and all that. It's Ian Wolstenholme standing in, or sitting in, we should say, for Sue and Leslie. And, golly gosh, what a packed programme we've got. Our guest, who's been with us for the first part of the programme, Kelly Anderson, our local historian, is still sat sitting next to me. Did you know that she shares a birthday with Annie Kenny? We'll talk about that in a moment, but I'm going to put her to the test.
Well, nobody
Not Annie Kenny.
This.
I'm not going to put Annie Kenny to that'd be difficult. I could stand in front of a statue all day and she still wouldn't utter a reply. But on this day, the 2nd of October, in the news, let's see how many of these we remember. 1968. Student riots threaten Mexico Olympics. Now, Kelly's far too young to remember that. But more than 25 people died during a gun battle in Mexico City, just 10 days before the Olympic Games are due to begin. You see, there was even problems back then with sport and protests. 1968, so the same year, birth of sextuplets stuns Britain. A woman gives birth to 6 babies in what's being hailed as the first recorded case of live sextuplets in Britain. 6 babies. Goodness me. 1974. This is guaranteed to raise a few eyebrows. Cannabis causes brain damage was the headline, splattered all over the nationals. Experiments on monkeys in America reveal how smoking cannabis can cause brain damage. And you can't get away from the smell of the stuff now, can you? Goodness me, 1983, Dream Ticket wins Labour leadership. Neil Kinnock becomes the new leader of the Labour Party, with Roy Hattersley joining him as deputy. Do you remember the spitting image? Roy Hattersley spitting all over the place, quite literally. Yeah. And then some historical events. I'm going to test now. I'm going to test Kelly.
Okay.
John Logie Bird.
All right, yes.
Yeah, John Logie Bird. Performs the first test of a working television system in what year?
Television.
TV.
TV.
Yeah, TV.
Now remember, I'm a medieval historian. I just want that very clearly noted. The first TV, let's try and be sensible. I want to say, I don't know, like 1932.
Oh, you're not far. 1925.
Oh, practically.
He did the first test. Whether it was successful or not, I don't know. No, these are quite recent. Actually, we should usually have more than this. It's a bit disappointing. We've got a history expert in and only a couple to choose from. What year? The Beltway sniper attacks begin, extending over 3 weeks. I've never heard of the Beltway sniper.
I've never heard of the Beltway
sniper. Well, I'll tell you, it was 2002.
I'm going to say it's 1602.
Yeah. It does sound vaguely historical.
So from the English Civil War, let's go, I don't know, 1647.
Oh, well, I don't know. Anyway, never mind all that. I've had enough of that. I'm putting that to one side. Forget that. Let's talk about something very relevant, because you share your birthday with Annie Kenny.
I do.
Now we've got the statue down the road,
yes,
haven't we? But you were telling me that there's, we hear the name Annie Kenny. We're going to have a bit of music by the Oldham Tinkers in a second or two, which actually asks the question, do you remember Annie Kenny? But you tell us a little bit more about her family. It's amazing.
Yes, and I didn't know this until I started. I'd heard of Annie Kenny. I knew the name, but until I started researching, because one of my local history talks was on voting, and then, women's suffrage, and of course Annie Kenny, an Oldham lass. So one of 11 children, 9 of whom lived to adulthood. And we know about Annie. She was fantastic, arrested 13 times. She went to see Christabel Pankhurst in 1906. I think it was the Free Trade Hall in Manchester, and just fell in love with everything to do with women's suffrage. Very prominent. But she had at least 4 sisters, Kitty, Jenny, Nellie and Jessie, who were all involved in the suffragette movement. Jessie more so than the other 3, but all 4 of her sisters, you've got 5 Kenny sisters who were involved in women's suffrage. And Jessie went to jail. She was awarded the Medal of Valour by the WSPU, the Women's Socialist Political Union, for going on hunger strike. as was Annie. So all four of those sisters, to one degree or another, were involved with the suffragette movement, and their names, I've never heard their names, not even Jessie, who was almost as prominent. And she was a secretary in the WSPU, and she had many duties, which amongst her duties involved arranging demonstrations and teaching other suffragettes how to disrupt Parliament. It wasn't just, let's write some letters.
Oh, no.
Let's write
Aim for the kill, wasn't it?
Angry of Oldham. No, it was, let's go, and they knocked on the door of Harold, my mind's gone blank, Harold Asquith.
Yes.
They got arrested for doing that. They were harassing him. They were constantly. They heckled Winston Churchill when he was, a Liberal Party member in Manchester. That's for the first time she got arrested, but not necessarily for heckling him. It was when the policemen were carrying her off and basically, now settle down, young lady, behave. She spat at them. Wow. Okay, I'm not condoning that, but that was why she was arrested. But they weren't sitting down and being good girls. And like I said, it's Annie and her sisters were all involved with this, and I think what a family. Had
social media, silly statement I guess, but had social media been around in those days, all those members of the family would have been certainly commemorated.
Yes, absolutely.
The sad irony, isn't it, there? Let's eavesdrop a little bit on the Oldham Tinkers. I think this is from a recording we made at the Queen Elizabeth Hall. I'm sure it was. I remember being there a couple of years or so ago now. Do you remember Annie Kenny?
An elder lass who worked in the mill from the age of 10 and went on to fight for women's rights, demanding votes for women and free all women from control of men. The women's suffrage movement beckoned Annie. She with a colleague heckled Winston Churchill's speech. Her banner was rolled out, votes for women shouted out. They were jailed, it was the lesson men would teach. You remember Annie Kenny, an older lass who worked in the mill from the age of 10 and went on to fight for women's rights, demanding votes for women and free all women from control of men. 13 times in jail was Red Young Annie. She went on hunger strike and was force-fed for her cause. When most women's votes were seen in the year 1918, Annie played her part and won our full applause. Last verse. You remember Annie Kenny, an Oldham lass who worked in the mill from the age of 10 and went on to fight for women's rights, demanding votes for women and free all women from control of men. And free all women from control of men.
Oh, yes. Hey, you've not lost it at all. It's even better than it was. Excellent. Mind you, what? You're we're only a duo now. Are we a trio?
Right from Parliament.
Do you know what? Isn't it lovely to hear Dave McGeely's wonderful voice again? Only Dave would capture those moments. Didn't expect that. Yeah, wonderful. Annie Kenny, a little bit there. Yeah, and you were right, 13 times in jail.
Phew.
Oh, it's been brilliant. I mean, there's so many figures all about there. We mentioned, obviously, Annie. You mentioned Winston Churchill. I once had the great honour of introducing, or at least contributing to the awarding of the Freeman of the Borough of Oldham to Dame Eva Turner, famous opera singer from Oldham. She was very old, and she told a lovely story, which I won't bore listeners with because I've told it to death. But that was right at the start, in those early 1980s days, when I suddenly found what, as I just mentioned to Kelly off air, is a great privilege to be able to produce and present community radio. Excuse me. William Walton, musician, of course, composer, brilliant, fantastic. Will you come back and do some more
Absolutely.
in the future? Have you enjoyed yourself?
Listen, being able to, this is what it's about, being able to talk about history, as long as they don't end up picketing outside saying, get her off.
I somehow don't think they will do that. I'm puzzled because my adverts have disappeared and I don't know why, but I'm not worrying about things like that. But we have another guest who is coming on the line in a moment or two. Another young lady who is equally passionate about her professional expertise in the world of literary. She's a well-known published author from Mosley, so we'll be meeting Julie Winterford in a few moments. But can I just say a huge and sincere thanks to Kelly Anderson for coming in. I'm official, I'm doing it, I don't care. I can do this because I've got the power. I'm making you our official history correspondent.
Oh,
all right.
I'm thrilled.
Sue agrees with me,
thrilled.
I have no doubt. If she doesn't, well, tough. So I think that what we will ask listeners to do is, if they have any questions or points or anything like that, to let us know. You know how to contact us.
Anything at all,
Yep.
history related. And if you want to go back, I mentioned the Carboniferous era, okay? I mean,
You got it right that
350
time.
That's not my specialist area, but, you know, if you want anything at all, even if it's not Oldham related,
We broadcast beyond Oldham's boundary now, you know, on
absolutely.
DAB. Yeah.
It would be my honour. It really would be. Thank you, Ian.
You're more than welcome. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
This has been brilliant.
We've not even scratched the surface. Told you it was a packed programme. Thank you, Kelly, for coming in. It's been great. Really has been a delight. We'll have a bit of music, and then we'll be meeting Julia Winterford, and she'll be telling us all about her new novel, or a sequel to a novel that she'll explain it. Oh, we can sing along. Do the actions if you must. Go on then.